Hey beauties, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be revisiting favorites of 2016. This is a little bit difficult for me because when I looked back, I was like, dang, I have a lot that I still use now, but this is a collaboration with Samantha March. She's one of my favorite creators here on YouTube, and she's one of the ones that I feel like I can actually trust. No matter what her opinion is, no matter if I agree with her or if I don't agree, if we have different experiences, I know that she's telling the truth. Even when she gets PR, she's so genuine, and she probably thinks I'm like a crazy person, but she has the most beautiful green eyes I have ever seen in my entire life. It's like every single time I go to her videos, I'm like, your eyes, your eyes. And she's probably like, you're a creep, Mel, but I just love her eyes. She also does a series on her channels with doing the purchase or pass or will I buy. She also does a lot of updates, so she's very informative, and again, I trust her and she is gorgeous. So she came up with this idea and I thought it was wonderful. So I went back to my 2016 videos and I had to start digging because I was like, you know what? I'm already like still using this product or still use this, or so I had to dig. I thought this was going to be a whole lot easier. I thought I was going to go to one video and be like, oh, we're just going to use everything from this, but it wasn't that easy for me. And I feel like a ghost because Mama does not wear her concealer this light anymore. So I feel like every time I look in the viewfinder, I'm like, oh, it's a ghost. I mean, I've lost some of my tan, but I mean, dang. Anywho, if you want to see how I created this look, what old 2016 favorites I am using today, and then at the end, I'll tell you if I still enjoy them or not, just keep watching. So we're starting off with the brows. I already have one done. I thought it would be easier just to do one on camera. And the brow definer from Anastasia Beverly Hills. I remember when this came out, I was like, oh my gosh, this is the best thing in life. Oh, da 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 da, you know. Now I do my brows very differently. I feel like, yeah, I have evolved, but I'm putting this through my brows. And then the second thing that I use is a current favorite. It is the 24-hour brow set from Benefit Cosmetics. So I was a little bit darker on my brows today, but we still got to set them the way that I wanted to. I'm cleaning up my usual way with my Tarte Shape Tape and a 242 from MAC. I used to use the Soft Ochre Paint Pot from MAC, but I'm not gonna go buy one just for the video, but I do know that I used to do this step with that product. And I'm also gonna go ahead and prime and set my lid, and I'm setting my lid with the MAC Blanc type. That's been a favorite of mine since I think I started makeup, and it's still a favorite now. Moving on to skin, we are going in with a foundation that I have gone back and forth on so much, and I do still love this one. It's from Josie Maran. It's the Vibrancy Foundation. I do have to mix my shades right now because I'm kind of in between, and I try to make it not too yellow and not too pink. So I mixed G15 and RG30, and that is what I have on my skin right now as I'm pouncing it in with the Linda Hallberg sponge. I used to love the Beauty Blender, but I, again, don't have a Beauty Blender, and I love this sponge, so here we go. We got a nice amount of coverage. Don't use too much with this foundation because if you do, you will regret it because it's too heavy. A dewy finish with a solid, medium, almost full coverage is don't add too much. Now for concealer, this concealer was my favorite concealer for the longest time, and I also really liked it to be really bright underneath my eyes. This is the Naked Skin concealer from Urban Decay, and I'm using the shade Fair Neutral. So yeah, it's almost white, and I'm going to blend that out and set it with something you guys saw me use for like 3 years straight, Hourglass Diffused Light. I prefer my Huda Beauty now. I don't really use this powder as much forever really, but I still suggest it if you're looking for something that's not going to dry out your under eye. I also want to set my nose with this just because I don't want anything too matte on it. Now to set the rest of my face, I'm using the Studio Fix Perfecting Powder in the shade Light and a Golden Triangle Delium 974. I had completely forgotten about this powder. I remember now that I used to really like it because it's not as much coverage as the regular Studio Fix pressed, but it leaves a very nice matte, just like perfected finish, and I think it looks beautiful today. With the Zoeva 126 and the Charlotte Tilbury FILMSTAR Bronze and Glow in the lighter shade, I am going to sculpt out my face. This is so stunning. The only reason why I don't use this as much now is because it does contain cornstarch, so I have to be careful with it, but I'm just going to sculpt up my face. I feel like I probably should have gone a little bit darker because I still feel like a ghost, but this is definitely still something that I would recommend today. Because that shade is so cool toned, I went ahead with my Tom Ford number 11 and I took that down both sides of my nose. For blush, I know you guys thought I was going to go in with Gingerly because it was nothing but Gingerly for a long time, but because I just recently used it, I decided to go in with another favorite, which is Cantaloupe. So I'm just taking that on my MAC 129 and applying it to the cheeks. I really feel like I need to start bringing out these blushes more often. Like I need to just keep this palette out so that I use it because these are beautiful shades. For my highlight, one of my favorites in 2016 was the Sun Dipped Glow Kit. So I'm taking the shade Summer on my Linda Hallberg 306 and I'm applying this and thinking, you know what, why did I stop using this? Probably because I have 300 highlighters. I kid, I don't have that many, but yes, this is stunning. Putting it on my cheekbones, I'm also taking it on the temples and high parts of my forehead as well as on my nose and on my chin because I want to be a glowing goddess today. For buffing, I'm going in with my Sicily powder because believe it or not, this one has still been a ride or die for me. It was a favorite in 2016 and it's still a favorite now, so I'm taking my Sicily 01 Iris C and my La Mer brush and I am just buffing all over before we move on to eyes. And for eyes, I wish that MAC never did away with this palette. I'm going to be using the Say Chic palette as well as a NARS shadow in the shade Stud. So let me go ahead and zoom you guys in and get to this look. I'm starting off with a Zoeva 227 and Soft Brown. Soft Brown is in their permanent line, so it's not limited to this palette. I'm taking it on the outer V first and then working it into the crease. And I'm kind of making this a little deeper, so I'm adding and adding and adding because I want it to be just a little bit darker than what I would normally use it. The next shade, one of my favorite shades in the palette, is Pinch of Sage. I'm taking that on a MAC 221 and I'm adding it to the lower lash line. It's like a green gray. It is an absolutely stunning shade. This smoked out all over the lid would be stunning, but anyway, moving on. Now I'm going to take Corduroy on a Wayne Goss number 18 and I'm going to take that on the outer corner first, kind of packing and blending it in, and then into the crease to add some depth. I also want to start blending this upwards just a little bit to make it a little bit more smoky and just add a little bit more depth to the look. And then I'm going to take forget it. I'm taking the peach shade on a 242 and I'm going to pack that onto the lid and slightly going over Corduroy. This is also one of my favorite shades in the palette. I wish they would make this one permanent because I just think it's such a good matte peach shade. Then with Drawing a Blanc, or you could use Blanc Type if you don't have this palette, I'm taking that on a MAC 242 and just highlighting the brow arch very lightly. Now we're going in with that NARS shadow. And this is where the magic happens. On a Wayne Goss number 2, I am taking that and I am taking it right up against the lower lash line. You can see the sheen this has because this is a silvery green as well. So it meshes really well with Pinch of Sage from the palette, and I'm just taking that from inner to outer corner. Then I felt like I need just a little bit more highlight in the inner corner, so I went back in with my Glow Kit and I added Summer to the inner corner on a MAC 228, and that is what finished off the eyeshadows. Now this would not be a 2016 video without my MAC Prep and Prime. So I am applying that to my lips and then I kind of rub out the edges where there's a little bit of foundation still left on my lips. I used to use this all the time. I still love it and recommend it, but I'm using my Tatcha Camilla Gold Balm now. Then I'm going in with something I still use today, MAC Strip Down, and I'm lining the outer part of my lips and then I completely fill them in. For lipstick, I'm going in with one from Charlotte Tilbury. I used to use these all the time. Don't know why I don't anymore. I need to. I'm taking the shade Nude Kate. I used to wear this to death, and I'm just putting it right on top all over. And then we just talked about this in my declutter. Ray of Sunshine, one of my absolute favorite glosses of all times, to top that off. And there you have the finished look. And then I had to bring out the mousse. If you've been with me since 2016, I did a favorites video wearing this onesie. And yes, obviously I still have it. I still wear this too. I take my dog out in the morning wearing this onesie. I have one that's a teddy bear, a Care Bear, I have a unicorn, all these, like, I don't care. I live in onesies. So if anyone's wondering, yes, this is definitely still a favorite of mine. So anywho, let's go over some things. So basically everything I used, I still love today, with a few exceptions. The Urban Decay concealer, I don't think it looks bad. I just don't think it looks as good as my favorites today. And I, again, still feel like a ghost, and I know it's because of this under eye. The Hourglass powder, I think, is probably making it look even more light. I wanted to be just as bright as you could possibly be under here, but I still like that powder, but I now would use it more for dusting all over rather than setting underneath the eyes. And I think even, I like the Becca powder even more than that one. And it's so funny because you use something for so long and then all of a sudden you just find these new things. It's like your makeup just keeps evolving. Thank goodness, because I could show you some bad brow days and definitely some bad winged liner days. Oh, and then the Anastasia Brow Definer, I think, is a great product. Do not get me wrong. I just don't do my brow, like, hopefully they're not coming across too heavy, but I don't do my brows that way anymore. I will have a link down below how I typically do my brows now. So it's not that I don't like the product, it's that it's not for me and how I do my makeup right now, but pretty much everything else is killer. Like, I still think that they're great products, which is pretty flippin' awesome. Please go check out Samantha's video and leave her all the love. Tell her I sent you, and let me know how you feel about this video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.